question that xSmootx sent in.
No way, really?
Yeah, he said, so, what's the next thing you guys are going to copy from World of Warcraft? I'm thinking hit points. What if characters in our game had a statistic that we called hit points, or HP for short? We could represent it via some sort of red bar, maybe, or just numerically. Either way,
red would be sort of a stretch for us.
Yeah, it would be. But get this: when monsters hit you, you lose hit points, and if you get down to 0 hit points, that counts as losing.
Really?
You suffer some sort of small penalty. Not really bad, but just enough to. Body. That's the next thing we should copy from World of Warcraft.
Okay.
Look at all the stuff the thing is, I feel like we really need to give something back to the community. World of Warcraft clearly ripped so much off from us when they launched. I mean, Kingdom of Loathing had been around for a couple of years before WoW, and they took so many leaves from our book that we thought it was time to repay them. It's a little disheartening to see. What's weird is there's all this sort of preemptive negativity about the clan dungeons in that thread, about the clan dungeons. Not like a lot. And the thing is, Dr. Van Mojo makes the point, like, it's not doing us any good to just have a bunch of people posting, yay! There are plenty of legitimate questions in that thread. That's, nothing wrong with asking questions about something, but just saying, I don't like this, when you have no idea what it is,
Yeah, the experience. I don't think the experience. As someone who plays KOL in isolation, assuming they have the resources to open up the basement and the dungeon or whatever, would not really see this as fundamentally different than the rest of the game.
Yeah. The one caveat being it might seem somewhat more repetitive.
Yeah,
I guess. Sure. Although there is about as much going on in any given zone in Hobopolis as there is in any other zone in the game. It's just that typically, you'll be chugging along in a zone, you'll find some sort of non-combat choice adventure, and you will have 3 choices, one of which gives you resource A, one of which gives you resource B, one of which tells you a joke and takes away some hit points, right? Whereas in this stuff, you will be chugging along, adventuring, fighting monsters with, 8 times as much in the way of attack messages as normal monsters, and with some interesting, maybe not 8 times, but several times, because the big list of special attacks that are only going to grow. Like since there is effectively only one monster. Again, this is spoiling content. There's effectively only one monster in each of these zones.
In the entire game.
Yeah, in the entire
You didn't realize that, but the entire time you've been fighting the same monster.
So we've gone out of our way. You wouldn't necessarily know that you were fighting the same monster over and over again either.
Right.
They have a lot of drops. They have a lot of variety, and I've pioneered a new technique here, which I ripped off from World of Warcraft, whereby monsters can. One monster can have multiple pictures, and yeah, I did not rip that off from World of Warcraft at all. If anything, that's something that
you did palette shift them though.
I did palette shift them. Yeah,
rip off from World of Warcraft.
Yeah, there's the picture of the one hobo, with a knife, and then there's the hobo with a blue knife,
right?
And the hobo with an orange knife. Yeah,
and the knife of 1,000 truths.
Right. So there's that. But instead of finding a non-combat where you have 3 choices, one of which gives you a resource A, one of which gives you resource B, one of which tells you a joke and takes away hit points, you will find... yeah, that's a funny joke. You lost some hit points.
Here's the salad.
We need to sue World of Warcraft for ripping off our concept of hit points.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we'd have a really good... I think that would go over really well on court.
The thing is, we talk about World of Warcraft too much when we're talking about the design of the game. And partly, I think it's because we expect the people that we're talking to be familiar with World of Warcraft. So when we say we're doing this, which is kind of similar to an X in World of Warcraft, it's not because we're ripping it off. It's because that was sort of our... every idea that we have for content in the game... There's nothing original, The entire game is a Legend of the Red Dragon ripoff, and I've been the first to admit that at any point when anybody has cared to ask.
It's gone way beyond that.
Sure, it has. I mean, but the thing is, I don't feel like we have really come up with anything novel in terms of RPG mechanics for KOL. The idea of the whole like combat and non-combat disparity that you can modify is something that people, because there was that thread about like in what ways has KOL innovated, and nobody really came up with anything.
Ascension isn't unique to us per se, but it's, as a core mechanic, I don't know that I've seen it most other places.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
That's something that we've got that's relatively
right. Replayability with the same character. I mean, it's but New Game Plus is something that console games have had for a long time, but not.
But Ascension is not New Game Plus.
Right.
Yeah,
and you don't tend to do that hundreds of times in a row.
Yeah.
Right. So. When we describe something as being like X in World of Warcraft, it's just because that's sort of, you could also say that we're ripping off EverQuest. Hobopolis is like raids from EverQuest. Like, we could just list this litany of other games that World of Warcraft ripped off, and then it wouldn't seem like we were constantly ripping off World of Warcraft. So we're doing this stuff that, the fact that we have enchantments on items that drop from monsters according to a loot table. Oh man, we ripped off Dark Age of Camelot.
Diablo or
we
something.
ripped off Diablo. We ripped off. We're just.
At the same time, I don't feel bad. About if someone's going to say that. Like, I feel like there's a lot of interesting stuff that they've done, and if that's an inspiration for us,
arguably
that's cool.
Arguably, World of Warcraft, Blizzard has created the most successful RPG in history. Right. Do you think they did that by making the shittiest RPG that's ever been made? I have a feeling that's not actually what's going on there. So it frustrates me to see in the forums when somebody says, I don't like the direction this is going. If I want to play World of Warcraft, I'll go play World of Warcraft. There seems to be this... One thing that Smoot seems to believe is that we are going to put untradeable Ascension essential items in Hobopolis, which we are very much not. One of the...
I hate saying something like that because I think it is possible that we put something that we thus far we've been pretty good about.
I mean, with it 95% content complete in terms of the items that you can get in there.
Yeah.
So far, we have not put in a single piece of gear that is equipable under level 15. So we have not put in a single piece of gear that is not only essential for Ascension, but even remotely relevant to Ascension. I've been putting level 15 consumption requirements on all the food and booze that's in there. It is possible that there will be... Put it this way. One of the sort of driving principles has been, do not make anything that is untradeable and Ascension relevant. Right? There's going to be stuff that is Ascension relevant and tradable, and it's going to be, let's say we put an expensive consumable in there that is useful in an Ascension run. You'll be able to buy it. People who are doing nothing but speed ascending, they don't want to do anything except speed ascend, so they wouldn't be collecting these things on their own, even if they were collectible as part of the normal game, as opposed to part of this new thing that you have to dramatically change the way you eat breakfast in order to be able to even conceive of going in there. A lot of people talking about how I don't want to have to leave my clan. You could leave your clan for an afternoon,
right?
Get whitelisted into a clan that's running it, and then come back to your clan. It's just not a big deal.